Okay, so it seems as if my previous directions left out a step that through the process of trying to get this to work, I had done, but sort of forgot that I had done. So I'm going to walk through the entire process again, and I'm going to try to do it pretty quickly. I'll pause in between to sort of cut out the waiting time. All right, so let me bounce into my Chromebook. As you'll recall, I am in sort of remoting into a Chromebook. So I'm going to click on this button right here, and I'm going to clear all that. First off, I'm going to go and click on the settings button right here, and then click on settings here, scroll down to about Chrome OS. Make sure that you have the most up-to-date Chrome OS. If you don't, go ahead and update it. You might have to even like restart your computer. But once you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Linux Beta, and then you're going to go to Turn On. And so this is a process that takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Click Install. I'm going to pause this right now, and then I'll come back once this is done. Okay, so once it is done, you will see that terminal opens up. And so terminal is sort of like before the graphical user interface. All computers use terminals or command prompts of some sort. So I'm going to keep that open. But if I did exit out of it, I could just click right here, and then I could type in terminal, and then I can open it back up. So now terminal is going to show you part of the file system. If I click right here in the folders, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I can see that I have this in my files, downloads the Linux files, and currently there's nothing in there. If I were to create a new folder called temp, I could go into my terminal and I could use ls. That's the command to list what's in there. So you can see that's the folder that I just created. Now, what we have to do here in terminal, this is the step that I think we were missing before, is we're going to update and then upgrade the Linux system. So we're going to type sudo in lowercase letters, sudo, and we're going to say apt-get with a dash, apt-get update, press enter. It's going to take a few minutes to sort of go through its process. It's going to be working. Basically what it's doing is it's going to like a repository to sort of get all of the files and like figure out what it's missing and what it needs to be fully updated. Then we're going to go sudo apt-get upgrade, and so we're going to now upgrade this system. Now this is going to take a little bit longer. It'll sort of say, do you want to continue? We're going to say yes, we do want to continue with a Y. That isn't case sensitive. You could go capital Y or lowercase. Either way, it doesn't particularly matter. While that is happening, I'm going to click back over here into Linux files. Into my folder application here. And I'm just going to delete this because we're not going to use it. While this is happening, yes, I do want to delete that. While this is happening, I want to go back to the link for Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to re-download this into my Linux beta folder. So now it might take a minute to say like, hey, where do you want to save this? We're going to choose Linux files, and we're going to click save. And we should be able to do that while terminal is doing its thing. So click right here, go back to terminal. It's still unpacking and installing and upgrading and doing all this stuff. And so because we didn't have an upgraded system, an updated or an upgraded system, you probably weren't able to install the Debian package before. But once we get this fully updated and upgraded, we should be able to simply right click on the Visual Studio file and then install it with Linux. Okay, so once you see your name at Penguin, that should mean that everything has been updated and upgraded. So now we can go to the file menu system right here. We'll do a refresh. If you don't see the file that's there, we're going to right click and we're going to install with Linux beta, and you'll say install. And so now that installation in progress is not going to error out, at least it shouldn't error out. And so we're going to let that continue to sort of spin away and do its thing. We should see a successful installation in just a moment's time. Okay, so you should get this message. Installation is complete. App is available in your terminal. There may also be an icon in your launcher. And if you click right here, you should see in your Linux apps an icon for Visual Studio Code. So we're going to click on that, and that should launch the application. I'm going to exit out of here. I'll exit out of here as well. We're going to see Visual Studio does in fact launch. Now I'm going to add one additional thing. If you see right here, we're just going to exit out of there. I'm going to click here so I can sort of see a folder. I'm going to click Open Folder. So that's going to open up into my Linux sort of home area right here. So if I click Home right here, that's where we say that's a Linux beta. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Code. I'll click Create. I'll click OK. So now I can sort of see this navigator, this window file explorer right here. I'm going to create a new file, call it index.html. Press enter. So now I've got the file here and I've got a code editor right here. If you get all of this, you can sort of exit out of there. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in my index.html file and I'm going to write the words hello world. Okay, so hello world is sort of like default text that we write anytime you're sort of writing your first program in any really computer programming language. So now I'm going to go to File, Save, or Control S, as you can see right here. And what we should see is that in our File menu, in our, remember, Linux files code, index.html, there's that file that we just created. I'm going to go to View. Now that is going to actually open up the file. This is actually, your first website. And so instead of opening up to a URL, this is actually the location of the file on the computer. So you can see it's like media, fuse, and then this whole sort of crazy sort of gobbledygook code, index.html. If I'm in Visual Studio and I, change something, I write hello world again, this time with an exclamation point, and I go to File, Save, and then I refresh right here, you can see that I have updated my page right there. Okay, so that is hopefully going to allow you to set up a development environment on your Chromebook so you can start writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, other web languages in your Chromebook, using your Chromebook. So good luck with that. I hope that it works, and check you next time.